Okay, I guess we're live. Hey everyone, Olga here, founder at Quality, SaaS content marketing agency, and I'm thrilled to host this interview today. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can use the chat on your right to ask questions or write comments if you like. Just a little note that we're going to have the Q&A session at the end. So we're going to have your questions answered. And today I'm excited to have Tom Niezgoda with us, co-founder and head of marketing at Sofer. It's one of the leading tools in the SEO and content optimization space. And in fact, our agency is Sofer's very, very loyal client. Hi, Tom. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hello, Olga. Hey, everyone. Good to be here.
Okay, so Tom, you and your team, you were able to grow Surface organic traffic more than 300% in just 12 months. So that is super impressive. And today we're going to find out what exactly you guys have done to achieve this. And honestly, I'm super curious. I'm pretty sure that people that are watching us right now are curious as well. So you're ready for my questions?
I'm ready. I prepared. I got the presentation for you guys.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. So we're gonna put it on stage. I hope everyone's gonna see that now. Okay. So I really wanted to get started with your background. So could you just tell us briefly about the journey and what led you to co-found Surfer?
Sure. When it comes to me personally, my story is pretty straightforward. I started as a teenager who used to build websites and figured out that having a website without anyone actually visiting it, it's pretty useless. So I started looking for ways to drive some traffic to it. And if I'm not mistaken, it happened when I was 11. 14 years ago, I started my journey with SEO.
Wow.
And fast forward to 2018, I met with Michał Suski, who showed me Surfer for the first time. I completely lost my mind and fell in love with this application. I was living in Warsaw, in capital city of Poland back then, and I asked Michał if they are going to go full all in when it comes to building Surfer, or they want to keep it as a side project. And he said that they would if they would find they would found an investor. And because I used to go for some meetups in Warsaw, I thought, I know two people who are angel investors who might be interested, so let me ask. I asked, and one of those guys were actually interested, and this is how our relationship between me, Michał, Lucian, Sławek, and later Kazik started to emerge, because I was hosting Michał in Warsaw. I talked between them and that my friend of mine, angel investor. At the end of the day, the investment didn't materialize. We didn't get on the same let's say same page when it comes to the terms, but we created some sort of relationship. And when we were about to decide if we want to start the company for real or not, guys suggested me that I can join the cap table in exchange for for all of us working for free for the next year. So this is how it all started in 2018, and this is how actually we bootstrapped the company from 0 to 15 million dollars MRR IRR at this
Wow.
point.
Yeah, that is quite impressive. And so 6 years for now. And how big is your team? And also, how big is your marketing team?
So the company consists of 78 people, and marketing team is 10 people, including me.
And could you just let us know what are those people doing in your marketing team? Is that content people or SEO people? Who are
Yeah,
those?
so actually, we started our content SEO/content team very late in comparison to many other companies, because it happened 2 years ago when Satya joined us. And then a year later, Kristavia joined Satya. They started focusing on growing our blog for real. But aside from Satya and Kristavia, there's Arek, our web designer. Every page that you see on our website has been created by Arek, designed
Mm-hmm.
and coded. Eva, brand designer. Paulina, product marketing lead. Pavel, who is responsible for videos. Tamara, who is responsible for affiliate program. And myself. I'm trying to put everything in
Mm-hmm.
like bigger picture, right?
Okay, so what about content? That's just a few people on the content team, really, right?
I lost you for the last 10 seconds. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I mentioned how many people on the content team. So right now you mentioned that like all the people on the marketing team, affiliates and everything. But what about content? Because we are curious, how big of a content team you should have to, sort of 3x your organic traffic.
Yeah, so 3 years ago, Danny joined our marketing team. I'm so sorry. I think I just didn't mention that before, but Danny joined us as the first US native speaker, so to say, and
Mhm.
she was responsible for our copywriting, right? But we didn't have much space and resources to solely focus on blog growth, and that's why Satya joined 2 years ago, and then Kristavia joined us as well. So our content team, if you put that
Mm-hmm.
this way, consists
Yeah.
of only 3 people in-house, but Dani isn't responsible for blog anymore. She's
Right.
responsible for
Okay.
our brand building, let's say. So Satya is SEO manager, SEO slash blog manager. Kristavia is our
Mm-hmm.
SEO editor, and also, she's responsible for so many other things when it comes to blog as well. And we cooperate with
Mm-hmm.
a couple of freelancers in that area.
Yeah, that's nice. So, what about your content process? How do you guys decide which content to focus on? And also, how do you prioritize keywords? How often do you
Okay.
publish your new content?
Okay, so I believe that's the good time to start showing my slides, because that's one of the questions that I
Mm-hmm.
prepared the answer for. But before that, I just want to make a statement that this presentation is about my ideas or the strategy I came up with. It's about Satya's and Kristavia's, right? So that's the team I was describing you. So that's Kristavia and that's Satya. They are responsible for that growth. So how we decide on which content to focus on? Well, there are a couple of let's say steps that we always follow. So first of all, we group keywords into content clusters using Surfer's topic explorer and domain map. We analyze important clusters and prioritize those that we cover at least to some extent. So we don't start from scratch. We start where we already have at least some sort of authority.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you an example, right? So if you have a website about let's say food and diets and in general longevity and stuff like that, and you're thinking about covering a cluster in regards of keto diet, right? So there are different aspects of keto diet, right? So what we would do as Surfer, we would start in the area where we already have some articles covered already. So for example, benefits of using of being on keto, right? And then we'll slowly start expanding on other
Mm-hmm.
topics in that area, in let's say that region that's still relatively close to the center. But well, when you expand slowly, you can build topical authority around more and more topics, giving you actually access to covering 100 more topics later on. So we publish sequentially with internal linking for every article, and we aim to publish 10 articles weekly to maintain content freshness. We not know only we not only create new content, right? We also update
Mm-hmm.
existing content to make sure that everything is always up to date and 100%
Yeah.
helpful.
I also have some questions regarding that. So we'll discuss that later on. And yeah, since you mentioned, how you actually choose, how do you start the content? What about the um, content strategy that is SEO driven versus not SEO driven? Do you sometimes prioritize other goals like maybe brand awareness or something else, maybe engagement?
Yeah, so it's mostly SEO driven, but sometimes we need to align with business goals. So, for example, not so long ago, we figured out that we have a huge potential in expanding vertically in in some areas, right? So we use programmatic SEO with help of amazing freelancers and Christavias and Satya's lead to write targeted niche pages
Mm-hmm.
related for photographers, lawyers, SaaS people, head of marketings, content managers, and stuff like that, right? So sometimes it's driven by business need to expand in some area or support
Mm-hmm.
our global vision, and but most often it's just 100%. It's based on SEO needs.
That's interesting. So for programmatic SEO, do you guys use any sort of specific tools, or do you just do it internally somehow, with the spreadsheets?
Now we use our own solution called Surf AI, which
Mm-hmm.
takes you from 0 to 90% in like 15 minutes. I don't like this approach of just generating content and publishing it right away. I really believe that it's awesome that AI happens and can take off your plate so many boring tasks. But at the end of the day, you should really care about the audience, right? That you
Of
write
course.
articles for. So uh, if you can save those 2 3 hours of making your content equally good as whatever is already ranking in Google, right? Use those 3 hours to make
Mm-hmm.
your content unique, to polish it, to really make it stand out, right? And to make it helpful, of course, for the audience. We use that, right? We use Surf
Mm-hmm.
AI to generate really good piece of content that then we expand on, build on top of.
Okay, so that's AI for programmatic SEO, basically, right? Within
Yeah, yeah,
Surfer. Mm-hmm.
yeah. But actually, we now at this point we use Surf AI for all of the articles, even if that's just a draft, right? If it's just even if we're using Surf AI only to create a draft for even external copywriter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Surf AI is in the process.
Okay, so if you're creating the draft in AI, and then what are you using freelance copywriters for?
Exactly for what I said, right? So adding that 10, 20 percent
Ten
to
percent
the
of human
last.
touch.
Exactly, the last 10, 20% that makes the difference. I really
Okay.
like the comparison between, for example, let's use some analogy from biology. Uh, if you look at the DNA structure of us and monkeys, right? It's 99, some 98% the same, right? But the 2% of difference makes a huge difference at the end, right? It makes us
Mm-hmm.
and them. And I think that when it comes to content, it might be similar. It's the last 10% that makes your content stand out, unique, relatable for the audience and your competitors, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice approach, definitely. So let's get back to updating content, right? So you mentioned that you focus a lot on content updates. Um, Tell us, how often do you revisit and refresh your existing content?
Sure. So we constantly monitor performance of our blog and domain in search in general. We use two tools for that. So we use obviously Google Search Console, but nowadays since we developed Content Audit, we also use Content Audit who monitors up to 200 most important pages, our pages. It analyzes whatever is going on in the search, right? So when we see that, for example, our ranking has changed, right, and it drops because, for example, new information emerged on the market, right? We know
Yeah.
exactly what we need to do in order to restore our rankings. So we use auto optimize feature for it later, and a human touch, of course. But you ask about the tools and our approach to monitoring, right? So when it comes to Google Search Console, we compare last 3 months to last 28 days to identify drops in clicks and impressions, and we start with those, right? If there's anything that lost traffic, that's the most important job to do for us, basically. We analyze competing pages and SERPs to update content comprehensively, and we use Content Editor to optimize articles, where the goal is to maintain the level of content score at around 80 to 85%. If it goes below, because, for example, as SERPs has changed and now our content score, even though we didn't do anything to our content, but it relatively dropped in comparison to wherever it's ranking in SERPs now. Well, we need to improve it, right? We need to boost it, and of course, when we do so, we make sure to add internal links to newest articles, to all of the articles that are relatively relevant. Sorry for promoting so many of our tools, but seriously, that topic, everything we are talking about right now is 100% relevant for Surfer. So we use also auto internal
Yeah.
link features available in the content editor.
Right. And is there some sort of algorithm to internal linking? Like, do you strive for a certain number of internal links per article, or is it just contextual? The what Sofer suggests, you link that.
Yeah, so we try to prioritize adding links to stuff that's relevant for the cluster, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you come back to that map that you can see here, this is a screenshot taken from Topic Explorer, one of the products that we have in Surfer, right? So what we would do, we'd start with internal links from one of those areas, articles that are relevant for each other. And then if there are some new articles that are maybe not 100% relevant, but let's say 80% relevant, then we still have space to pass some link just to them.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if contextually some links might make sense from navigational point of view, if we can point a user down to down the funnel, right, we also do so. We also add those links.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I realized that you use all of the software features that yet are to explore for some of our people who are watching us right now. And also, do you guys use any other tools but software when it comes to SEO, or is it software alone?
Yeah. So all of those tools are pretty popular. I'm sure most of the content teams are using them, but
Mm-hmm.
for a reason, right? Ahrefs, amazing tool. We love their database. We love checking our competitors in Ahrefs. We use Google Search Console as well as Google Analytics to see the performance of
Mm-hmm.
our blog and SEO optimization. Surfer, right, for on-page optimization, clustering, brief creation, internal links, and more. And ChatGPT for drafting content, sometimes even for improving the cooperation flow with freelancers. That's how I use it sometimes, just to refine an email, right? It
Mm-hmm.
makes so much sense if you can type a couple of bullet points and then ChatGPT turns them into well written email that someone will understand and grasp. At the same time, having in mind that you are a nice person, right?
That's right. I mean, speaking of the content score, so you mentioned before that you guys are trying to get to 80 to like 85. Um, is there some kind of best practice that you would recommend to go with so far? Because I mean, I guess it depends. So before we used to do green zone, which is 70 plus content score, and then later on we were trying to get as high as possible, getting to like 90, even 100 sometimes. It's like, what is the best practice that you'd recommend?
Yeah, so in general, everything in the green zone is okay, right? And I wouldn't strive for optimizing all of the articles to 100. It doesn't make sense. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably it's wasting too much resources. However, there are some examples, right? There are some niches where you would need to. maintain that
Mm-hmm.
level of optimization because your competitors are doing so. So, for example, if there are some SERPs where other folks have content score of 80, 85, 90, right? You need to keep up. But let's always have in mind that that's only a tool, right? And
Yeah.
even though very helpful tool, it's just a tool. And if you think that the content can be more helpful, where while the content score will be a little bit lower because you just cover the topic a little bit differently that the tool is making you, so trust your intuition, right? The
Mm-hmm.
worst thing that can happen is that you won't gain the position that you are aiming for, but then you can revisit the strategy. You can always come back to Surfer. You can re-optimize it in 1 month, 2 months from publishing, and that's completely okay. We are all here for a long term, long game in
Yeah.
general. I think that you need to prioritize your intuition over following guidelines. To
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And then, sometimes you could run a top ranking result through Surfer, and then it shows like a very low content score as well. And you're like, especially after the latest March update, I noticed that. So the content score could be like 51 and it still ranks in the top. So
Of
somehow
course.
Google considers it a relevant result. So I guess the answer, it depends. And just like you said, it's just a tool. So it helps you, but it doesn't guarantee the first positions in the search results. That is for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Correlation is not a causation, right? So, even though content score is currently the most correlating factor on the market, and we have a proof for that, you can type Surfer X Search Engine Journal to see the data study we did together. We analyzed hundred thousands of SERPs to determine what correlates with rankings the most, and content score still is by far the most correlating factor. It's
Mm-hmm.
not it's not even though if you have 100 content score, it doesn't guarantee that you will have first position tomorrow, right? It's not causation. So as you said, you can find something with 50, a content score of 50 that ranks high. That's okay, we understand that that's happening. But if you look at the big picture, you analyze hundreds, thousands of pages, then you see the pattern. And the
Yeah.
pattern is that the better content score you have, the better rankings you have to.
Yeah, definitely. So let's say your article is published, right? And what are the next steps? Do you have some kind of distribution channels? Do you do distribution at all? And if you do, then which channels work best for you?
Yeah. So when it comes to majority of articles, we keep it very simple. We publish it on blog. We add those internal links pointing out to that article that we just published, right? So we revisit old articles to make sure that it will have the needed crawlability. So Google
Hmm.
will find it very fast and
Yeah.
index it and make sure that to put it into right context whenever it's needed. But for some articles, we also have another distribution channels. Like when it comes to data studies or tutorials or very specific articles that require more attention, we sometimes even do a YouTube video based on the article's content. So then I take it and I record a video on YouTube. So for those articles, we also use social media, sometimes ads, and of course our in-app messaging, right? So when something important is
Hmm.
happening, we inform our active
Yeah.
users about it.
Okay, thank you so much. Tom, we are here to find out more about your growth, your how you were able to 3x your organic growth. So, if you could guide us through the process and maybe the steps that you've taken,
Sure.
that would be great. We're looking
Yes.
forward to learning today.
Sure, Olga. In short, right? And please let me know in the chat if you'd like me to expand on any of those topics, right? What we did with that small team, as I said, only 2 people work on our blog content at Surfer. And we do also cooperate with 7 freelancers on weekly basis. So in general,
Mm.
it's very small team. So with such team, such resources, you need to prioritize important clusters with high potential, right? So I'm coming back to the point I made at the beginning of our webinar. Make sure to expand in that area where you already have some sort of authority. When it comes to
Mm-hmm.
Surfer, what we did, we had authority in on-page optimization, right? In SEO content optimization, SEO content writing, and also we created an authority because of Surf AI Premiere and in general a lot of articles about AI that we wrote when Surf AI had been launched. We created authority in that niche as well, right? So when it comes to AI detection, humanization, ChatGPT alternatives, and all of that. So what we did, we expanded in those topics because we already had an authority. We could easily grasp 2 times, 3 times more traffic by covering some more popular topics. So we did that. Um, we published constantly lots of articles, around 10 per week, while maintaining the quality. We conducted some SEO experiments for ongoing insights, right? So even the study I mentioned before, right? I would consider that as an experiment to run crawls for thousands, hundred thousands of queries, and to see if situation has changed in the market, right? If Google started to reward something else than it used to, and if we have that knowledge fast enough, we can take advantage before another Google rollout. And we are doing that constantly. And when we do, we also share that knowledge with our audience. So make sure to watch our blog channel, sorry, blog, or watch our YouTube channel and read our
Mm-hmm.
blog because we share a lot of data studies with our audience. And finally, and I'm coming back to our last point, we are using the right tools and work with wonderful people. So in essence, it's about being very consistent, maintaining high quality, creating helpful content, and using right tools to enhance your efficiency. Because if you have limited resources, and we all have limited resources, especially with such economy, right? It's very important to scale yourself as much as you can. If one person was able to create one helpful article a week, now it's able to create 2, 3 articles a week, well, if you continue doing so every week, the effects will compound over 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe 6 months, and you'll see the results probably even better than we saw. Because if you need to take that into account that we are competing in a very competitive market with
Yeah.
websites like Ahrefs, Moz, SEMrush, Brian Dean, Backlinko, HubSpot, right? So
Yeah.
taking traffic from them is extremely difficult, but somehow we were managing to do so, and that's because of the steps I tried describe before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this number 10 articles per week, where does it come from?
Oh, it's 100% based on um, our capacity, right? So if we would manage to publish more, we would do so, right? But
Okay.
that's our maximum capacity to maintain the high quality of all of the blog posts. But there are weeks where we won't publish anything, right? Because we have other responsibilities, when we have some sort of product premiere, when entire team is needed to help, or we are on vacation or whatever, right? So sometimes we don't publish 10 articles, but on average, that's the pace we kind of had during the last 12 months.
Nice. Um, I know that, we all know that AI is super big when it comes to content production today. What is your perspective? Like, what is going to be, what is going to look like, how the content production is going to change? I mean, it's already changed a lot with the help of AI. What's going to come next? Do you think there'll still be this 80 to 90% of AI,
Mhm.
and then 10 to 12 to 20 of the human touch, or is it going to change completely? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's evolving rapidly. If you would ask me
It
two
is.
years ago how I see the future, I probably wouldn't be able to guess, right? How fast everything that happened actually. So I don't know what exactly will happen. What I believe in is that humans will love to read other humans, as well as watch other humans, listen to other humans, and thus I believe that AI can be an ally when it comes to filling the gaps and working smarter, faster. But at the end of the day, it's not like you are aiming to get clicks from other chatbots or
Mm-hmm.
assistants, right? You aim to get clicks and reads
From
and
human.
views from other human, right? From people. So I believe that human needs to be in the center, and everything that's happening about AI is making humans more productive. And at the same time, I believe that enhanced productivity will unleash a lot of creativity in other areas. So if even I think that, even if the writer who used to write that one article a week can write still one article a week, but have much more time to spend with their family, learn something new, watch the good series, or read a nice book. That's a win-win situation, right? That person will be just more happy, and I believe that's really good future. I hope it will materialize, and we won't be meeting in 2 years when the world will be like in those catastrophic movies.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I just want to mention that earlier we announced our special giveaway. So the 10, I think, yes, Tom,
Yes,
10 of
10 AI
AI software
credits.
credits, total worth of 171 US dollars. So everyone who is watching our interview today, guys, you can now get those credits. So all you have to do is basically connect with Tom on LinkedIn after today's event, and I think you have 24 hours to do that. So within 24 hours, Tom is accepting connect request, and whoever is going to connect, he will be sending the link with. Well, actually, no, you're gonna send the credits right to the server account,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
As long as
So
they. Okay.
if I can elaborate on it a little bit, so
Sure, sure. Let us know.
yeah, so just write to me anything. It can be only hi. I'm here for AI credits. That's 100%
No, 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 no.
fine with me.
Feedback, feedback. Let's do feedback on the
uh,
on the
f-
interview.
Feedback would be awesome. Feedback would be awesome, but I'm completely fine with anything. So write to me on LinkedIn or via that email that I put on the presentation here. And I will ask my team to add you 10 AI credits to your Surfer account. So please know that you need to have an active Surfer account. That can be any subscription, any pricing plan will add AI credits on top of any subscription you have. And those
Okay.
credits will last forever on your account. So you don't have to use them
Uh-huh.
within 1 month. You can use them, whenever you will need them.
Tom, what if I'm already a connection on
Just
LinkedIn?
write to me. Just write a message to me, right?
We're eager to try those as well. Why not? I mean, we're your active users. Okay, guys, so I think it's time to move on to the Q&A session. So for that, let me just check some of the questions that we have and see how I could display them. So, how do you handle technical SEO issues like indexing issues, keyword cannibalization, and more with this number of articles you publish weekly? Interesting question. Tom, we don't hear you. Something
Sorry,
maybe you're muted.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, so that's a great question. I love this. I love it.
Yeah.
So we have some stuff that we've built in house, and we'll start offering it publicly in Surfer soon for keyword cannibalization, especially. It will be inside the same product I was describing before, called Topic Explorer. So it will look up for stuff you have on your site, and look up for duplicates, for keywords that fight for I mean sorry for keywords
Mm-hmm.
that target two different pages, and it will tell you what you need to merge in order to actually avoid situations like that. But in general, Satya is responsible for all of the
Uh-huh.
technical issues. So when it comes to indexing, right, we did have some problems when Google was
Uh-huh.
rolling out update. We saw that indexing is pretty slow. So what we did, we started adding more internal links, and we also added we started adding internal links to our most popular pages, right? So for example,
Yeah.
homepage is a great way to boost some of the articles, or even to pass the link juice towards some of the most important articles. You can use footer for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we handle this. And if there's any other more specific question about any kind of SEO
Mm-hmm.
issue we handle, just let me know.
By the way, when there's a choice between landing page and a blog post, for example, so you could cover this particular keyword either with a blog post or with a landing page, which one would you normally choose? That's the question from me.
Depending on the keyword, of course, but I think that if there's a keyword with buying intent behind it, I think that landing page would be my go-to, because it can be optimized better for conversion rates. So depending on the keyword, depending on the situation, but if you have to sell something and it's not an informational keyword, landing page
Mm-hmm.
probably is better. But at the same time, there are examples where you can target a keyword with buying intent, with amazing blog posts that will drive much more conversions than any landing page that you would have.
Yeah, I like to ask this question to every guest that I'm interviewing, and it's interesting that answers are very different, to what people are preferring. But I'm super curious to hear your opinion, so thanks for sharing it. And we also have Irina. Could you explain more on how to cover the topical gaps with the auto optimize feature in Surfer?
Yeah, sure. There are like two different topical gaps that we are currently talking about in the industry. One is on the page level. So when it comes to, for example, one specific topic that's missing in your blog post, right? For example, if you have an article about Apple Car project, and this project has been discontinued by Apple, the gap in that topic is that Apple has discontinued the project, right? And your
Mm-hmm.
competitors are already covering that. You are not. That's the gap. And we cover it automatically with Auto Optimize by updating the information in your article, and also adding new information, adding new sections that consist facts and information there. So when it comes to editing, Auto Optimize just tries to mimic the content on your page and make as little edits as possible. And when it comes to adding new information, new sections, it writes those sections while having in mind the style of the article, the structure, the tone, and everything to make it as close as possible. So this is how it works, right? And the second topical gap that sometimes people are talking about, but in my opinion, it should be rather we should refer to that
Mm-hmm.
as gaps in clusters. Is when it comes to site missing opportunities in those clusters. So when you can cover more topics, meaning you can have more articles covering more topics, and you are not doing that, that's the gap that you can fill by publishing more articles.
So for clusters, do you also follow the word count recommendation of Surfer, because
Yeah.
sometimes what Surfer does, it recommends, okay, you gotta write an article that is I don't know, 5K words, because everyone else in the Google top is, who's ranking well, is actually 5K words. Would you say that everyone who's trying to compete would have to match that same number of words in their article?
It's really good and stable proxy. So if Google is rewarding some pages that are that long, it probably means that those pages were, well, let's say sufficient for people who are searching for some information. And that's perhaps, this is a complicated topic, that's a comprehensive topic that needs to be
Yeah.
covered in detail. So I would say that word count is a nice proxy metric to determine if the topic is comprehensive. If so, then yeah, I would say that you would need to write a long piece. But of course, if you can make it short and yet still packed with great information, um, do it. And
Mm-hmm.
see how Google rewards you for that. Maybe it will be ranking even better.
Okay, makes sense. Now we have another question about content audit. Probably that is Vadim. Vadim wrote that. Who's probably not very familiar with our software SEO, because it's one of your features. Maybe you could elaborate a little bit more about that.
Yes, sure. It's a new feature, so I'm not surprised that not everyone knows it already. Even though new
Okay.
users have 60% of adoption of that feature, it's one of the most beloved features in our new users currently. So I really recommend everyone to check it out. So content audit is using Google Search Console to scan entire content on your website. Then we create content editor for every page, and we show you which of those rank, for example, for example, rank on second page of Google, have low content score, which means you can do very little of optimization to improve
Adjustments.
rankings
Mm-hmm.
massively. If you rank on second page of Google, it means that you don't generate much traffic, probably nothing. But imagine what would happen if that page would start ranking on fifth position or even 10th position, right? The gains would be massive. And that's, in essence, in short, what content audit is doing. So it's basically automating the content audit process. It checks the vitals, it checks the performance every month, and soon it will start sending all of our users regular emails with recommendations. So, for example, not only you will get an email when something bad happens when with your page, but also emails with information how you can further improve your rankings by, for example, covering more topics. So let's say you already have one article in that area, you started ranking on first page of Google, 10th position, and you did all you could, right? You optimized it, you started even getting some backlinks to that page, but it doesn't move. And why exactly? Perhaps because you don't have a topical authority around it. So what Surfer will do will send you an email with information. Please cover those following 5 more topics
Mm-hmm.
in that cluster. Interlink them together, and you will probably be good to go when it comes to ranking higher and higher. Everything's automated and currently not that much limited. So
Mm-hmm.
because, as I said, it's a very, very young and fresh product, so that's a great moment to test it.
That's super cool. I also wanted to ask you, what are your, let's say, top three of Sophor's? I'm not sure whether to call them features or like standalone products that you have, but like, what do you like to use, and like, what do you use on a daily basis?
So auto optimize, auto internal links, those are my by far the most favorite features inside content editor. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, if that's about product, then content editor is my favorite.
Uh-huh.
And and third, that's the difficult, either content audit or topic explorer, depending on the situation. Currently, we are mostly focused on expanding in our expanding in another clusters. So I think topic explorer, right? But when it will be more focused on coming back and revisiting old content, then content audit. they are equally loved.
Yeah, content editors are beloved feature product, within Surfer. So we love using it. Another question that I'm saying, I'm not quite sure I understand it fully, but let's figure out together. So I noticed that I get search volumes for some keywords. Where do you get that information from? I'm not sure. Like, if the question is about Ahrefs, search volume, like a showing tool.
Maybe it's related to the screenshot I shared from Topic Explorer. So
Oh,
Surfer
maybe.
has its
Okay.
own data sources, but also we use some clickstream data. So we buy it from the market. So uh, that's actually the answer. Two different sources, right? Clickstreams and Surfer's own database.
Okay, cool. So this one, I'm not sure if it's a question or it's just a statement. So with AI, you don't need much team, just the knowledge to be able to do it. So that requires time to get it, I guess, right? So
Yeah,
it's more about
yeah,
knowledge. Yeah, these
yeah,
days.
exactly.
Absolutely.
And adaptability. I mean, it's so important to be able to adapt very quickly,
Yeah.
right? If you look at the recent events, we didn't have ChatGPT 3 years ago, right?
No.
4 years ago, yeah. So even if you look at the
Crazy.
surface history, right, in 6 years so many things happened, and if we couldn't adapt, then we wouldn't be here anymore. And actually, I'm at the same time a little bit scared of the fact that you always need to adapt. There's no days off, basically.
No.
If you take like 6 months off from doing anything in web, in the internet, you would come back to different place. But at the same time, it's so exciting, right? And if the entry barrier is so low, you can start today and in 6 months be fluent in wherever it's trending now. It's so
Absolutely.
tempting. It's so tempting to start new things, experiment and grow. I love that.
Yeah, it's a new interesting world out there. We have another question on success. How do you generate natural backlinks? So, yeah, actually, we haven't touched upon that topic. So, you mentioned before that you did zero to little backlink building for Sofer. And yeah, curious. So, how did you do that?
Yeah, so currently we're not getting any backlinks aside from getting them naturally, right? So we are not buying any backlinks. We are not doing any cooperations that are based on links and exchanges. So how we do it, we have some free tools that attracts a lot of attention, like Humanizer or Keyword Surfer has 600,000 active users every week, so it's one of
That's
the
a
most
free tool?
popular.
Is it a free
Yes,
tool?
that
Sorry.
is a
Okay.
free tool. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's insane, right? 600,000 active installations. One of the most popular SEO extensions to Google Chrome. So we get thousands of links organically because of those free tools. At the same time, we also publish a lot of data, right? And people quote that data, so we do have links from that. We are very active when in our community in general. So when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to even that interview, right, I'm always open for things like that. I love talking meeting with new people. So probably if you will publish a recording or some postscriptum from that webinar, you'd probably link to our domain organically, and that's how we are building that. I mean, it's very organic. We are not managing that in any way. We are focusing on creating helpful content. I think that backlinks are important. They can be extremely helpful, especially for young websites. But
Yeah.
for domain like Surfer, that's already have such huge authority, domain authority. I think that we rather focus on covering the topic in depth than fighting for some extra backlinks that most often you need to pay for.
But when you started, did you work on acquiring backlinks somehow? Like when you were
Yes,
just
yes.
traffic zero, let's say. Uh,
Yeah, we were spending even at some point $1,000 on backlinks when we started. So
I'll
as I
make that a
said,
quote for our clients, okay?
yeah. This is why I said that in our case, right now, we are not doing it because we don't have to. It's
Exactly.
something we don't
But I
need.
mean,
But
you guys are 6 years in, right, of the product.
exactly, yeah.
And also, what, like more than 100,000 organic traffic per month.
Exactly. So, but as I said, we are getting a lot of backlinks organically.
Of
Show
course.
me a young website that organically gets, let's say, 200 backlinks a month, right? It doesn't
Hmm.
happen. So to boost it, to make everything a little bit faster, you can pay for it, and this is exactly what we were doing. We couldn't compete with Ahrefs, SEMrush, Moz, and any other website that's ranking SEO related keywords without investing a lot in our backlink profile. Also, we used to have very successful affiliate program. We still have it. We changed our business model there, but it's no longer such popular as it used to be. But at some point,
Hmm.
back in the day, we had hundreds of affiliates who were linking to our website, right? Through their referral links, and that also passed a lot of link juice. So in general, yeah, we did a lot in the past. Now we don't have to. So we are, using the resources, the money for other stuff.
Definitely. Okay, I know that you're like have limited time today, so I will be wrapping up. And thank you so much, Tom, for sharing these insights with us. It's been truly amazing conversation. I'm sure everyone who's watching us today has learned a lot. So we'll be sending a follow-up email to everyone who signed up with also Tom's LinkedIn details and also this recording, so you can rewatch it whenever you like. Now, don't forget to connect with Tom and ask your questions or maybe share your feedback and claim your surfer credits. Don't forget about that because you only have 24 hours, remember.
Yeah.
And guys, if you want to repeat the success of Surfer, or like if you want to work on your content and need a reliable content team for that, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and book a free strategy session. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us today, and
Mm.
have a great end of the week. Keep your content game strong, and see you at our next events.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Olga.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thanks, Tom. Bye.